Forest Rebirth Foundation is a mission-driven foundation focused on safeguarding and restoring coherence between land, community, and future. We work from the understanding that ecological restoration becomes stronger when it is connected to community resilience, cultural continuity, and long-term stewardship. Across many regions, landscapes are under growing pressure from deforestation, soil degradation, biodiversity loss, water stress, and short-term economic models. These pressures affect not only ecosystems, but also food security, livelihoods, cultural continuity, and the long-term resilience of communities. Forest Rebirth Foundation was established in response to this interconnected reality. We work from a simple principle: land, community, and future cannot be treated separately. FRF's mission is simple and precise: to safeguard and restore coherence between land, community, and future. This mission is carried through stewardship rather than top-down intervention, through long-term responsibility rather than short-term output, and through partnership with local communities and knowledge holders. In this way, FRF works to support regenerative processes that remain ecologically grounded, socially rooted, and meaningful over time. FRF approaches regeneration as an integrated process. Ecological, social, cultural, and economic dimensions are not treated as separate fields, but as connected parts of one living system. This means FRF is not an abstract foundation with a general vision only. It works through a recognizable regenerative logic in which restoration, community resilience, cultural continuity, and local value creation reinforce one another. Economic activity can play a role, but it always remains subordinate to regeneration. FairZones are the main territorial framework through which FRF develops its work. A FairZone is not a standardized project or a generic development template. It is a place-based regenerative system that emerges from its own ecological conditions, community relationships, cultural context, and land-based realities. What defines a FairZone is not uniform appearance, but shared direction, local legitimacy, long-term stewardship, ecological relevance, practical community value, and phased development. Within fair zones, regeneration becomes practical through fair farms and fair centres. Fair farms are places where regenerative principles are applied in daily practice through agroforestry, cultivation, demonstration, and learning. Fair centres function as community hubs for education, training, meetings, coordination, cultural exchange, and knowledge sharing. Together, they connect landscape restoration with daily community life. FRF is already active in several landscapes and community contexts, primarily in Indonesia. These contexts do not all sit in the same phase of development, and that distinction is important. In Kalimantan, the focus is on early anchoring, land protection and stewardship. In North Bali, Sunas Pathia functions as a reference context for ecological learning, regenerative agriculture and pilot development. Other locations such as Banyuedan, Rendang, Banyuwangi, Solo and Yogyakarta are connected as community, agricultural or future development contexts. Together, they form a wider learning and development network. FRF works through collaboration, but not through opportunistic partnership building. It develops relationships carefully and within the boundaries of its mission, governance standards, and ethical principles. FRF seeks cooperation where it can strengthen long-term ecological restoration, community resilience, and grounded regenerative practice. In that sense, partnership is not a scaling instrument in itself, but a means of reinforcing durable value. FRF operates as a mission-driven non-profit foundation. Its role is to safeguard mission, values, integrity, and long-term direction. It does not conduct commercial exploitation. Where commercial activity exists in alignment with the wider ecosystem, this is structurally separated through IQS as the commercial vehicle. This distinction is essential to protect role clarity, institutional trust, and long-term credibility. FRF is developing as a long-term regenerative platform. Its focus is not on rapid expansion, but on building credible, grounded, and transferable practice through real landscapes, real partnerships, and carefully phased development. In the years ahead, FRF aims to strengthen its reference projects and field partnerships, refine the FairZone model through practice and documentation, deepen cooperation with academic and mission-aligned institutions, and contribute to regenerative landscapes that remain ecologically resilient, socially grounded, and culturally meaningful. FRF sees regeneration not as a short-term intervention, but as a long-term commitment to land, people, and